Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third part of my ultimate guide to the 2026 MLB Draft. Here, we've covered the first 20 picks of the draft now. We are in the last third here. We're going to go 21 through 30. You can see all the picks on the screen now. A lot of some interesting developments here the last day, especially when it thins out for some of these guys like the Mets and the Dodgers, and the kind of draft that I think they've had, and ultimately the kind of draft that I think will bear out fruit for these organizations, and which ones maybe didn't have such a great time of it. So I'm just going to jump right in here. San Diego Padres, they had the 21st overall pick. There's some things to like here, specifically what they did in the latter part of the draft, the day two picks. I quickly want to address second F grade that I've given out in this draft. James Gayette, he was taken in the 5th round by the Padres. And, look, again, there's nothing personal necessarily, but we're talking about presumably an underslot guy that we are taking to afford some of the, higher priced high school guys that they've taken, but as you can see here, not rated at all on the group project, not rated on the MLB pipeline. Look at his stats here: a 5.56 ERA in his walk year at Kansas State, 79 in the third, 105 strikeouts. 11.9 strikeouts per nine, not bad, but 4 walks per nine, 1.5 WHIP, 90 hits in 79 in the third innings. I just don't see the vision here. He's not like he's done really well at all in any of his years, to be honest. Sophomore year, 51 2/3, only struck out 51, while also walking at a 44.7 walks per nine rate. So again, draft, a money-saving move, I understand, but 5th round is pretty high for that kind of move, and quite honestly, like, you could do a lot better than this guy in the 5th round. Just to point out some examples of what I mean: Lucas Davenport by the Red Sox, better upside there. Gavin Eddy there. Michael Anderson Jr., Trey Baird. Cal Randall was taken this round, a guy that I like a lot in the 5th round. Ty Putnam as well. Alex Hernandez. Point being, like, there's so many other ways that they could have gone about it, but like going completely off board for a guy who's never really shown anything of note, at least from what we can see. My assumption being that this is a guy that they have models that really like, but at the same time, I doubt anybody else would have taken him in this position. So I don't know. That's just where I'm at. But Coleman Borthwick was the first round selection here, 21st overall. High school pitcher. Spoke briefly about the kind of player that the kind of players that the Padres have been targeting here. A lot of high school first and second picks were high schoolers, and that's going to be pretty expensive pretty quickly. Two guys that I want to talk about actually here. So Coleman Borthwick, coming out of high school, 18 years old, 6'6", 245, well-built 18-year-old, committed to Auburn SEC school. I like that a lot. He is someone that I am intrigued by, someone that had a bit of helium coming into the draft. Ranked 28th in the group project and 43rd in MLB Pipelines. MLB Pipeline doesn't really rate him all that highly, but that just means that everybody else seems to like him a lot if he's getting that much air over that 43rd pick. So, looking at his stats here, graded out as a 60 fastball, 60 slider, 55 control. So, what he's really lacking is a third pitch. I think that's fair to say, right? From the Florida Panhandle, it says here, that's Florida, California. That's the hotbed, right? Fastball got up to 97, 98, sitting 93, 95 as an 18-year-old, 84, 85. Hard slider, misses a ton of bats. Good feel for spin. And then there's some feel for changeup. That's whatever. But yeah, 22nd ranked high schooler here. Actually, Perfect Game has him listed as 10 pounds over what MLB Pipeline has him, which, just a big, big kid here. Like, look, had some great bat, 6 shutout innings in the 16U World Baseball Classic there. Some people have him as a two-way prospect, probably going to just be a pitcher. I like the upside a lot here. I do. I will say that the lack of a third pitch has me dropping him down a little bit here. I don't expect an 18-year-old to be polished, but I also do think that there's probably some high upside college arms he could have taken in this spot. Cameron Flukie, Hunter Dietz, Sean Duncan, to name a few. Cole Carlin, that's another one as well. And, the Padres right now, what we're looking at here is an interesting situation. I would have expected them to go a little bit more near term with the draft, and they just didn't really do that. So my assumption, just based on the vibes there, is that they're going to end up being sellers at the deadline and probably go into a little bit more of a reset here. And knowing that, I think Coleman Borthwick is a good selection here. I think maybe, actually I'm going to go ahead and upgrade this to a B because I don't hate the pick. I don't. Good fastball, good slider, and some good control. So, C might have been a little harsh on second viewing here, but I think you probably could have swung a little bit harder here if you're the Padres. But Elliot LaSalle, he's the second pick in the draft for the Padres. He's come out of Canada here, and I'm intrigued. I am. I'm always intrigued with a Canadian player here because I myself spent 5 years in Canada during my seminal years in university. Shortstop, high school senior, 6'1", 181. And he is 93rd ranked in the group project, 158th according to MLB Pipeline. So Padres disagreeing quite heavily with MLB Pipeline here, but an interesting profile here. 55 hit, 55 run, solid foundation there. Good arm, 45 field. Definitely not going to stick at shortstop if those numbers are to be believed. Probably end up as a second baseman, maybe a third baseman. We'll see. Committed to Yale, Ivy League, so smart kid, but I don't know if that's exactly a baseball factory. However, Craig Breslow actually went to Yale, so there's some track record there at least. However, top Canadian position player in the 2026 draft class. That's always something nice to say. There's a lot of Canadians that went in this draft that I've seen, and him being rated the highest, that's great. Draft stock rose when he visited Arizona and Florida spring training complexes and faced some low minors pitchers, which is something that a lot of the Canadian prospective draftees do every year. Sort of gives them a good showcase because they're not part of the perfect game circuit. It's an American high school thing, right? So he's hit basically everywhere. 4 extra base hits and 54 at bats, 389 against minor league arms there in that previously mentioned Arizona, Florida spring training trips. Fast plus base runner, knows how to steal a base, like you said. It's up. There's not really a plus tool here, which is why I have it ranked as a B. But it seems like a solid, probably going to hit. Doesn't really have a defensive home kind of profile, but I trust the Padres that they like him enough to take him this high in the draft. A lot of people saying he's the best thing coming out of Canada this year, so I'll give some props for the more qualitative aspects of his game rather than the quantitative ones. But I think there's some interesting upside here, and I'll be curious to see how the Padres develop him. One more guy I wanted to mention here, Alex Conover, out of Oklahoma State, 204th ranked according to MLB Pipeline, taken at the 134th pick. According to the group project, 180th. So taken quite ahead of where he was supposed to go. But let's talk about him for a little bit, right? Let's talk about him for a little bit. And there's some things that I wanted to point out here, right? Oklahoma State is not exactly known as a massive hub of talent. But 4th round, we're not exactly asking him to come out of like an SEC major program, right? He's improved every single year, especially in the power department. Going from 6 to 14, RBIs going from 22 to 36, stolen bases going from 5 to 16, walks going from 15 to 44. Now strikeouts go up from 36 to 44, but same number of walks and strikeouts. 476 batting on base percentage, a 357 batting average, 1101 OPS in 58 games of Big 12 competition. Not a division to sniff at, a division that includes, West Virginia, Arizona State, TCU, Baylor, Texas Tech, Arizona. Like, all these are quality baseball programs, not quite the level of the the Big Ten or the SEC, but I like what I'm looking at here with Alex Conover in terms of the stats. MLB Pipeline giving him a 50-50 hit power, run at 50, arm at 50, field at 50, just 50s across the board. A solid player in the 4th round here, 20 years old. 6'4", 202, probably some room to get a little bit more power there. The 50s maybe a little soft. Could be a swing change candidate there. He's at a community college as well as a freshman where he just raked. And, toned down his approach. As a junior, OPS grew a lot. Doesn't have a stand-up tool, but doesn't have any glaring weaknesses. Rarely swings and misses, especially versus fastballs. It's great. It's a great place to start, is being great against fastballs, especially when you're going to the professional level here. And just, elevate the ball a little bit more, and should be at least average power according to this. This is a guy that I think is a change or two away from being a really good option here for the Padres. Something that I believe that they could do. They've done it with Jackson Merrill in the past. They've done it with, Fernando Tatis Jr. in the past. I know those were a while ago, but there's other options as well. So I like this pick, especially in the 4th round for what I'm assuming is underslot money, considering he's a 4th-year college guy. That gets an A for me. Overall, C- grade. Logan LaSalle is my favorite pick here in the 2nd round as the top Canadian prospect. But, not the best draft, but certainly not the worst either. Next up is the Tigers. Cameron Flukie taken 22nd overall by the Tigers. So, there's a lot that I like. I think Cameron Flukie, he battled some injuries today. I think his true talent is higher than we saw. I mean, I know where I was when I saw him duking it out in the College World Series against LSU for Coastal Carolina as unexpected World Series finalists there. Ranked 14th on the group project, ranked 15th on MLB Pipeline, taking it pick 22, great value no matter how you slice it here. Let's look at his stats, shall we? Coastal Carolina, not massive program, but certainly nothing to sneeze at. Sun Belt Conference, let's look at his junior year, right? 3.19 ERA in 17 starts, 101 in 2/3 innings pitched, 78 hits allowed, 118 strikeouts, 24 walks, good for a 10.4 strikeouts per 9, 2.1 walks per 9, basically one even whip. And, all this is looking great. Starts the year, definitely hurt. 24 innings pitched only. 31 strikeouts still, so 11.6 strikeouts per 9. Walk rate jumps up, though. Whip jumps up. It's just not what you want in your draft year, right? Let's be clear about this. But I choose to believe that junior year, or sophomore year, I should say, is closer to where he is than his injured junior year. His carrying tools is fastball, 60 grade fastball according to MLB Pipeline, 55 curveball, 55 slider, 50 changeup with 55 overall control. That sounds like a really, really polished arm to me. 6'6", 210. Tigers, they know what to do, right? They know what to do when they're developing pitching. And especially when it comes to smaller school guys. They did that with Skubal. They've done it with a few other guys in their past as well. And I would say, if I'm taking one guy with a plus fastball, plus secondaries, plus control, and I'm putting him in an organization, I'd want it to be the Tigers, right? The Tigers, they've been known to control guys very well in the minors. The MLB has not always worked out for them on that level, at least not for a little bit. Casey Mize started to show some promise when he was a prospect, for example, but he was considered right around where Cade Anderson was after his sophomore season, right? This is a guy who's had top 5 looks in the past. And, he gets swing and misses with his fastball, chases with his curveball, and rib stress fractures are gonna mess you up, right? Missed 2 months until, he returned too late. Maintains mid-90s velocity and touch 98. Arm side run and carry, that's what you love to see. We don't have the IVB numbers, but yeah, repeatable delivery, pitch and strikes. I think you can really put this guy through the tumbler a couple of times. Add maybe a little bit more extension, a little bit more life on the fastball, keep the plus breaking balls where they are, and you are going to have a top-of-the-line starter, in my opinion. He is one of my favorite pitchers in this draft, and for the Tigers to get him at 22, I thought he was going to go in the top 15 personally, and I think that's just an exceptional value for the Tigers. I really do. It's one of my favorite picks of the first round, and I think a lot of teams unfairly looked at his junior year and said, no thanks. And it's not even like it was an arm injury, right? If nothing else, he probably got some time off to rest his elbow, and his shoulder a little bit, and focus on recovering from his rib fracture. So, he's a big guy. I'm not worried about the size, right? 6'6", 210. I don't think it's going to be a repeatable problem. So, I have no problems with that whatsoever. Evan Dempsey is the next guy I want to talk about, another pitcher out of Florida Gulf Coast. So Tigers really taking a run at small college guys. And I've never heard of this guy before the draft. It is very high to take a guy from Florida Gulf Coast, right? The Atlantic Sun Conference, right? All 3 years, by the way, at Florida Gulf Coast. No transfers, no nothing. 101, according to the group project, also at 101 ranked in terms of MLB Pipeline. This is in a competitive balance B round at 69 overall. So either way you slice it, a bit of a reach maybe. Two-way player at Florida Gulf Coast, right? A true two-way player. Batting, he had 10 home runs, 46 RBIs. Home run growth from his home run growth from 3 to 10 from his sophomore to junior. RBI growth from 30 to 46. Stolen bases from 14 to 15. Walks from 16 to 26. Strikeouts 23 to 36, but still 10 is not too bad. 951 OPS. Probably you want to see a little bit louder numbers for a smaller conference, but if you look at all 3 of his years, he has hit over 300 every year. He has kept the strikeouts and walks within 10 of each other each year. And I like what I'm seeing. Pitching, I like it even more, right? 3.15 ERA in his walk year. 88 and 2/3, 68 hits, only 26 walks, 126 strikeouts. Good for a 12.8 strikeout per 9, 2.6 walk per 9, only a .4 home run per 9. You look back at his sophomore year, 1.97 ERA, 68 and 2/3 with 57 hits allowed, 75 strikeouts, and 20 walks. So we're looking at .4 home run per 9 again, 2.6 walks per 9 again, 9.8 strikeouts per 9. So his strikeout stuff has gone up. Every other thing has remained the same. Very intriguing option. Now, is he going to be a two-way player when he gets to the big leagues? That remains to be seen. 6'2", 205, could really go either way on that. 50 fastball, 55 curveball, 50 slider, 45 changeup, 55 control. Sort of middle relief type profile, if you ask me. A little bit soft on the fastball. Probably not going to get to too much extension at 6'2" either. Great curveball, though. Like to see that. At least one developed secondary. And good control as well. So it's not terrible. Hits, 50 hit, 50 run, 60 arm, 50 field. No power to speak of. Probably a utility outfielder. But I like the options here. I think that, he's got an electric fastball, right? Pair of breaking balls. Touch 95 on the velocity. And elite spin rates on the breaking stuff. I think that there is a really good track to being a back-end starter here. Sort of a breaking ball forward guy that I think there's some stuff to like about here. And at the end of the day, for me, that's really what you're looking for in this range of the draft, is just like a big leaguer, 69th overall, probably paying him pretty far under slot as well, considering he went to Florida Gulf Coast. I like this pick a lot. I think there's an upside proposition here, but ultimately I think he's going to just be a big leaguer. No plus tools really, except for the breaking balls. If he can maybe get some more consistent spin rates on the fastball, then I think this is really great value for the third pick of the draft. Last guy I want to talk about, Robert Omidi for the Tigers, taken in the 8th round, and he's 207th ranked by MLB Pipeline. And he is 208th ranked by the Group Project. So, taking him at 246, I think that's a great value proposition. Another guy from Canada, by the way. And there's a lot of guys from Canada, actually, I like in this draft. 86th ranked high schooler. Probably taken about where you'd expect that to go. I like it a lot. I do. 18 years old, 6'1", 200. Pretty cromulent. 45 hit. Little worrying. 50 power, 50 run, 50 arm, 45 field. Committed to Kentucky, SEC school. I like to see that, right? Great bat speed and strength. Barreling up a bunch of balls at the Perfect Game National event. Highest ranking 2026 Canadian hitter. So, Robert Omidi, a little bit of conflict with Logan LaSalle's when it comes to which one is the better Canadian high school hitter. Either way, 8th round, I think this is great to get a guy with this kind of qualitative upside. Quantitatively, a little bit left to be seen. But this is the kind of thing that like you want to take the clay and mold him in the minor leagues, right? And you're going to take a flyer on an 8th round pick here. And that's the kind of stuff that you save money for with Evan Dempsey and, Declan Dahl and Max Maloney and all these guys, right? So, strength, excellent contact skills. There's some swing and miss concerns, sure. But, that's him as a high schooler facing minor league arms as a high schooler, right? This is the kind of guy where there's probably going to be some disagreement between the raw power and the game power, and it's up to the Tigers to really coax that out of them, right? If we're being honest here, a guy that maybe you could point to is Riley Green, who I think maybe came into the draft with a similar set of circumstances, which is to say, lofty lefty swing, great bat speed. There are some swing and miss concerns, but at the same time, there's good contact ability as an amateur. And really got to get him tap into that game power as opposed to just the batting practice power, right? So, B- is my overall grade. Cameron Flukie was my favorite pick from the Tigers here. Overall, I think that a pretty good draft. Definitely see some upside with Omidi and Flukie and Dempsey. I can see the value proposition there as well, so I'm a fan of that. Cubs. First overall pick, Cade Townsend. Now, I have no problem with him as a pitcher overall. 35th ranked by MLB Pipeline, and we have him at 26th according to the group project. So clearly there's a little bit of disagreement in the camps here about how high this guy deserves to go. And 23rd overall to the Cubs, not a bad little showing out of Mississippi. SEC only pitched for 2 years there. 3.94 ERA in 64 innings, 14 starts, 55 hits, 88 strikeouts, 12.4 strikeouts per nine, 3.1 walks per nine, 1.4 home runs per nine. I'm a little wary of that home runs per nine, if I'm honest. Did go up from his first year in SEC to second. I like the strikeout stuff. I really do, especially in the SEC. I love to see that. But I just think the other skills aren't spectacular. Doesn't really have much of a track record to speak of. Only less than 100 innings pitched throughout his entire college career in the SEC. 55 hits to 64 innings. Not exactly first-round stuff, in my opinion. Giving up 10 home runs as well. That's a high home run per nine. In fact, I think that's the highest I've seen from a first-rounder so far. So, and the walk rates aren't like that great either. So, strikeout stuff for sure. Power arm, definitely. But there needs to be a little bit of refinement here. So, MLB Pipeline has a 55 fastball, 60 curveball, 60 slider, 60 cutter, 50 changeup, 50 control. So, obviously the selling point here is the secondaries. Good curveball, good slider. Maybe this is one of those guys that we look at the Ross Puck again. Fastball, cutter, sinker sort of combination. Touches 98 with the fastball. There's some athleticism there. 6'1", 185, though. Not a whole lot of physical projectability. Probably that fastball is going to need to live on the edges, mixed with other fastball shapes to really get to the most. He also needs something that tails more towards arm side rather than glove side. You got 2 glove side offerings. Needs to change that up a bit. Probably change up needs to help a little bit more at 50. Better control than maybe some would suspect, but good stuff. I like the pitch mix. Control's a little bit fringy. Changeup's a little bit fringy. I think there's a path to success here for him. I don't mind the Cubs taking him, considering their next pick was going to be at 62. And he's definitely not going to be there, so if they like him there, they take him there, right? But it's an undersized pitcher who walks guys and gives up a lot of home runs relative to other first rounders. So it gives me a little bit of pause, right? That's why I give it a C. I think there's better value propositions here. Hunter Dietz, Cole Carlin. Could even go to Ben Blair there, or Carson Bulleman, Tegan Kuntz, Jack Rydell. Like, all those guys, I think, are probably higher on the upside list than Cade Townsend in my mind. So, get to see. A little disappointing as a first-round pick goes, but if Cubs like him, the Cubs like him. I got no problem with that. Caden Sorrell, second-round pick, ranked 33 by Pipeline, and he was rated at 32 by the Group Project. Take it at 62. Either way you slice it, great value. So that instantly puts him in a promising position. Looking at his career at Texas A&M, played 3 years, played basically 2.5 years, injured in his sophomore year, looks like. But up arrows here, I see power improving from 11 to 12 to 23. Love to see that. 43 RBI to back down to 32 to 76. I love to see that the power was there, presumably before his injury in sophomore year. 12 home runs in 26 games, electric. And it stayed there in his junior year. Career high 23 home runs in 56 games. I love to see it. A 337 batting average going to 341. 16 walks to 33. Strikeouts ballooning up to 61. That's where I have a little bit of pause here. Clearly he's impacting the ball. 20 doubles, 23 home runs. 11 stolen bases to boot as well. 1,177. This is out of the SEC as well. So that's I like to see that. I like to see that a lot. And, he's seemingly found something his sophomore year. Didn't get tested out for a full season, but carried it over. I like to see that a lot. Swing and miss. That's a problem, right? 45 hit tool, according to MLB Pipeline. 55 power, 60 run, 60 arm, 55 field. All of this I like a lot. Right? That's going to be a plus fielder. Probably put him in a corner slot, but like playing a plus corner. 6'3", 210, good size for that role as well. One of the most productive sluggers in the SEC in the last 2 seasons. You love to see that, right? Plenty of bat speed and strength to get to his power. 25. Honestly, what this guy reminds me of, if he doesn't end up being like Jace LaViolette and like with massive strikeout problems, although if you want to look at Jace LaViolette, his college career, 75 strikeouts. Caden Sorrell was never that high, right? 61 is where he's topping out. I don't think there's that much of a swing and miss issue here. What he reminds me of, honestly, is like an Owen Casey type of guy, which we've seen the Cubs have success with in the past. They've taken guys like this before, where the hit tool is a bit of a question, but the power is very real, and they can play a decent outfield. I like that he goes to the Cubs organization here. Actually, you know what? I'm talking myself into this being an A, so that's what I'm going to do. He gets an A. Cubs, you know what? I'm feeling generous here. Their D goes up to a C-. And I think that's more than fair. And I'm excited about this. So this one I think is actually one of the better value propositions that I've personally seen thus far in this draft. And I like it a lot. In fact, you know what I'm going to do here actually is I'm going to change my favorite pick from the next guy to Caden Sorrell. So, there you go. Next guy I want to talk about, though, is the guy whose name I just deleted. Miles Bailey from Florida State. 83rd ranked by Pipeline and 72nd ranked by the Group Project, taken at 75th overall. So more or less chalk, taken in the second compensation round here. This is another like Cubs pick all over, right? Big physical tools. 64 or 6'4", 5 or Jesus. 6'4", 257, 21 years old. This guy's getting the power, but the injuries remain a little bit of question here, right? Sophomore season, 19 home runs, 56 RBIs, 32 walks to 76 strikeouts, 327 in spite of that, 1100 OPS in spite of all that. He goes and then plays only 26 games in his walk year, hence why his value has been damaged a little bit. But 13 home runs, 33 RBIs in those 26 games go along with 5 doubles, more walks and strikeouts, 35 to 30, 363, 582 OBP, 913 slugging percentage for a 1494 OPS in 26 games in the ACC. ACC having programs such as Georgia Tech, where the 3rd overall pick Von Lackey went, UNC, where we saw a couple of guys go early to the Red Sox, right? Miami Hurricanes, Wake Forest, Boston College, Virginia, etc., Clemson, Louisville. Great baseball programs, good conference. This guy's showing plus power, right? Strikeouts going down from 76 to 30 year on year. Now, the big problem being 30 strikeouts in 26 games, probably on track to be around the same if we're being honest. But the walks going up, 32 walks in a full season of baseball to 35 in 26 games. I love to see that. I do. So this guy strikes me as more of a 3 true outcomes kind of guy. But with enough power where clearly the ACC pitchers feel threatened by him. Looking at his tools here, 45 hit, but 65 power. And 50 fielding, 55 arm, going to stick at first base. I love it. 21 years old. Top 150 prospect in 2024 out of high school. He went to Florida State, even though he was taken in the 20th round of the White Sox. I like guys that have been taken out of high school and then get taken higher out of college. He had a severe ankle injury. No idea how that's going to affect his upside going forward, but most raw power in the class. 31% strikeout rate is a little worrying. But that was in the freshman year, right? Good athlete. He needs to cut down the swing and miss. There's no doubt about that. But as we just said with Caden Sorrell, this is the profile that Cubs love, right? This is the profile that they can work with, right? Swing and miss issues, but real power. And they just need to get to the power enough to offset that swing and miss. I like this pick a lot. I really do. And they went college heavy here in this draft, and I have no problem with that. I would say the problem I have mostly is what they use that money on. Last guy I'll talk about here is Dylan Mariano, taken in the 4th round. Another cost-saving guy went to Northwestern State in Louisiana. Completely off board. Not ranked by MLB, not ranked by the group project. I just don't see necessarily what the upside is here in terms of taking a guy from a small school in the 4th round. Looking at his stats here, 3.51 ERA, fine, but he's pitching in the Southland Conference, wherever the hell that is. Like such powerful programs as Lamar, McNeese State, Stephen F. Austin. I've seen some of these guys in like March Madness, but it was like 14 plus seeds, right? Didn't even have more strikeouts than innings pitched, which is like bizarre to me. Like, I don't understand what the value proposition here for the Cubs to take this guy in the 4th round. That gets an easy F for me. That might honestly be my least favorite pick in the draft. My only guess is that they like something in their the only guess is that they like something within their metrics of him, but Lord only knows what it is. I don't know. C minus, as I said before, it was a D, but I upgraded it a bit. So, Sorrell and Bailey is who I'm hanging my hat on for this draft. And if they can get to their power, this entire draft is honestly just going to be known as the draft that they took one of these guys. So, I think they can live with that. I can live with that. So, good for them. Mariners up next. I think the Mariners had a very nice draft here. In fact, I don't know why I gave it a C. I'm going to go up to a B minus here. Like I said, I'm feeling generous. Ace Reese. I love this first pick for the Mariners. I do. I love it. 18th ranked by MLB Pipeline. And we're looking at 18th ranked by the Group Project as well. So, out of Mississippi State, he is someone who is expected to probably stay at third base. He is someone who has massive up arrows next to his name in my mind, right? So, transfers from Houston after his sophomore year where he hit 7 home runs, 34 RBIs. Hits 21 home runs, 66 RBIs, 18 doubles as a sophomore. And 26 walks to 52 strikeouts. A little worrying there. Still 422 OBP, 1100 plus OPS. This year, 62 games, 23 doubles, 24 home runs, 74 RBIs, 41 walks to 63 strikeouts. Strikeouts take a jump, but so do the walks. 434 OBP goes up. Average comes a little bit down, but still 336. That's fine. Slugging goes up. OPS goes up. 2 years in a row, year on year, hitting 20 plus home runs. I love seeing the step up in the walks. A little bit more patience here. Power is real. Back-to-back 20 home run seasons in the SEC. Love to see it. They give him a 50 hit. I like a 50 hit with a 60 power. I'll take that all day long. 45 field. Probably going to end up at first base. 6'4", 220. Big thumper. Conference newcomer of the year. Coming from Houston to Mississippi State in his sophomore year. Love to see it. So, 12 home runs in league play. Beautiful. Really, the only question he has is his defensive home. If he slots in at first base, 25, 30 home run power, I love it. I love it. I love it. I think this is a great pick. I think the Mariners would be over the moon to have him at pick 24. And that's an easy A for me. One of the better picks in the first round, in my opinion. Next up, Jake Brown in the second round. Nice little rhyme there. Out of LSU, 59th ranked by Pipeline and 62nd ranked by the Group Project, taken at 65th overall. More or less chalk. I'm okay with that. But LSU is a major program, right? And if you can get a starter out of LSU in the second round, I got no problem with that whatsoever. So, that's wrong Jake Brown. This guy. There we go. So, already taken in the 16th round by the Rangers. Like I said, I like that a lot. Second round here. 56 games. He's by the way, started all 3 years at LSU. Beautiful, right? 56 games, 4 home runs, 13 RBIs, 264. Not great, but that's his first year of the conference, right? Next year, takes a jump in home runs, 4 to 8. Takes a jump in doubles, 4 to 9. Stolen bases goes from 3 to 11. RBIs goes from 13 to 48. Strikeouts takes a jump from 21 to 34, but walks take a jump from 10 to 23. 320, 407, 935 OPS. It's fine. But 42 games, slightly abridged season. He goes from 8 to 16 home runs. Right? Goes from 48 to 49 in terms of RBIs. Strikeouts go down. 34 to 32. Probably on track to break that with a full season. But the walks are also trending in the right direction. 23 in both seasons. A full season probably breaks that, obviously. 404 OBP, 309 batting average. Over 1,000 OPS. Again, an LSU graduate here. So 6'2", 206, good size. 50 hit, 55 power, 55 run, 55 arm, 55 field. I mean, he's going to be a quality corner outfielder kind of guy. And I like that. He's probably going to be around 6th in the batting lineup if I had to guess. College World Series, 385. Broke his hamate, ended his season. That's fine. But 20 to 25 home runs per season is the projection here. Trade some contact to get pop. That's fine. Right? Southpaws he has a bit of a problem with. Fine. Solid to plus speed. Steal a base. 20-25 hits can steal a base. I think that's great value in the second round there by the Mariners. Again, beating both the projections. Again, mostly chalk, but I like that pick a lot. And I think there's an upside proposition. Last guy I want to talk about, Henry Ford, being taken in the 6th round by the Mariners here. Out of Tennessee. 148th ranked by Pipeline. And 138th ranked by the Group Project. Taken at 191. Fantastic value. So, puts him in the front foot already there. Let's look at this here. So, he went from Virginia in his freshman and sophomore year in the ACC. Good program. Where he hits 336 and 362 respectively. More or less a full season. 17 home runs as a freshman, 11 as a sophomore. Takes a bit of a step back, but he did play 11 fewer games that year. Great freshman year. 17 home runs, 69 RBI, 336, over 1,000 OPS. Fantastic year. I like to see that the walks are trending in the right direction, despite playing 11 fewer games, 21 walks, 30 strikeouts, within 10. I like to see it. 420 on-base percentage, 995 OPS. Final year plays in the SEC for Tennessee. And he goes ballistic. 15 doubles, 20 home runs, 57 RBIs, add on 3 steals, 27 walks. Right? So that's going back to his excellent freshman year in terms of walk levels. Same strikeout levels, more or less, as well. 54 strikeouts. A little wary of those, the difference between walks and strikeouts, but that's okay. 360 OBP, 293 batting average. That's probably a big reason why he fell down to the 6th round here. But still a 964 OPS from the SEC as a 21-year-old. I'll take that all day long. Yes, I will. 6'5", 220. Just a big old guy, right? 50 hit, 50 power, 40 run, 50 arm, 40 field. So really the defensive home is a big question. Probably going to be more of a first base DH type, which is limiting his ceiling. But 6'5", 220, I do not believe that 50 power is the right answer here. That it's just I just don't believe it, right? Especially when he's given you 20 home runs in his junior year and in the SEC. Come on, 50 power just isn't it, right? This is a guy who really needs to lift the ball consistently, go through a little bit of a swing change here, but he's got the physicality and the ability to make that adjustment. The question right now is, does he have the hit tool to make that adjustment? But if he can start lifting the ball using his physicality a little bit more, that's going to be a steal in the 6th round for me. That gets an A. I think the Mariners drafted some pretty good offensive upside out of the college ranks here. Everything else was a little for me. But overall, I think that those are 3+ players that you're adding, especially with Ace Reese. And, I have no problem. So, we have a best draft. Now we have to get to the worst. The Brewers. I give them a fat F. I'm just not going to beat around the bush here. I think they had a terrible draft. I do. I think the only redeeming picks here are Sawyer Strosnider and Julian Garcia. I'll talk about Trey Abel first, though. There's no there's no way in my mind that they didn't think that Trey Abel was going to be here in the second round. And I know that their next pick was going to be 66, but I just don't see him being taken before then. 6', 180, high school senior, a rare underslot first round high schooler, which I think really tells you all you need to know about the pick's value here. He probably couldn't even believe that he was being taken at this spot, right? 100th ranked in the group project, 107th according to MLB Pipeline, taken at 25th. Now I know the back half of this draft is a little bit fungible. 17-year-olds, he's still got some ability to grow. 55 hit tool, that's nice. 50 field, 55 arm, no power, no run to speak of. Like it's just sort of. He takes instructions well. Texas A&M recruiting him. I mean, there's some additions here that are nice, but big bat speed. I mean, there's some room to grow here, right? But I just think if you're the Brewers, there's other ways you could have gone and probably still seen him in your second pick. So I just think it's a tremendous reach. I think it's a little bit of a waste in terms of a first rounder. I think you could, like I said, I think you could have waited and gotten him with your second pick. So honestly, if they flipped their second pick and their first pick, I'd be much happier with this draft, which is kind of ironic. But Sawyer Stroh-Snyder, I think this is probably one of the better picks of the draft. Weirdly enough, so the dichotomy of the Brewers, 20th ranked in the group project, 22nd ranked according to Pipeline, out of TCU. Talked about their division earlier. It's a nice program here at TCU. Played 2 years at TCU. Goes from 11 to 13 home runs, but goes down from 10 triples to 4. Goes down from 13 doubles to 11. Again, 6 fewer games, but still. Walks go up from 20 to 43. I like that. Strikeouts come down from 47 to 43. I really like that. Same number of walks as strikeouts. I like seeing that. 10 stolen bases down up to 12. Nice little bonus there. A 273 batting average, though, in the Big 12, I'm a little skeptical of. I think this is more so a guy that I'm looking at, and I'm saying he's probably hitting the ball into the ground quite a bit. But still over 1,000 OPS. You know, there's some stuff to like here. There's some stuff that I question. Seems like a well-rounded sort of profile. 45 hit tool with 60 power, 60 run. 55 arm, 55 field, 6'2", 200. It's a value proposition here, right? This is a guy who's got power, he's got speed. Could probably give you 20-20, but he can also probably give you like a 230 batting average doing that. And I have some questions about it, but at the end of the day, I'm just going to say that this guy will probably be a big leaguer. What kind of big leaguer he'll be, I'm not sure. He could be one of those guys that just can't really get it together and gives you a 220, 230 in, center field with 10 to 15 home runs, 10 to 15 RBI or stolen bases. Sort of like a Jacob Young type, but like just not with the plus fielding, of course. I don't hate it. I do think that the consensus is a little high on him, though. I'd probably drop him back into more of where the Brewers took him. So, like, even though it does get an A from a value proposition point of view and where he's being ranked relative to others, I think he's probably more of like a C in terms of real life value in my mind. But I can't. I gotta give it an A here just because I know the hype that he had coming in. And the real changes that he did make going from 47 strikeouts to 20 walks to 43 there. And, he just needs to impact the ball a little bit more. There is some room in that body to get to some power. So, it's fine. it's fine at the end of the day, right? But Julian Garcia is the other guy that I wanted to talk about. 109 according to Pipeline, and 120 according to Group Project. Taken at pick 130, not too bad in terms of value. He is coming from St. John Bosco in California. An interesting guy here. An interesting guy. And, you know, there's things that I like about this. 126th ranked high schooler. Long Beach State is where he was going. That's a pretty good pitching program, all things considered. 60 fastball, 60 curveball, 55 control. Desperately needs a third pitch here, but 260 pitches with 55 control taken in the 4th round. I'd take that any day of the week. Could end up being more of a relief pitcher type, 6'3", 205, but I do think he's probably getting to the big leagues off the back of that control with those 2 pitches. At a third pitch, I think he has a chance to start. I trust the Brewers to do what's right by him with their pitching program, so I'm interested to see what this guy's doing, 5 years from now. And I give this pick an A just because 260 pitches and 55 control in the 4th round ain't too bad for me. But overall, it's an F. A total of 4 F-rated draft picks here. Hill, Tom, Mora. I don't like them one bit. 2 high schoolers that you take in the 7th and 8th round that I'm not super impressed by. We can talk about Hill, ranked 500, and we can talk about Kellen Tom, who's also ranked 500. Just big reaches here. Not ranked on either MLB Pipeline or the Group Project. 7th, 8th round for high schoolers, probably paying them a bit of money. Going under slot on Ebel for really no reason at all, if you ask me. I'm hoping that they have something in mind. I mean, they took almost exclusively high schoolers in the back half of the draft, so I assume that they think there's some nice value back here. But like I said, I'm only ranking the first 10 rounds, so that's where they get an F basically. But into the last 5 here, and into the last 5. The 5th to last team here being the New York Mets. So, missing a few picks here. As you can see, a lot of that is from signing free agents here. And, that's the risk you play, right? When you're the Mets right now, you're having a terrible season. Kind of caught in no man's land. You don't have much of a farm system left to recover just because you're debuting AJ Ewing and Carson Bench, 2 guys I like a lot, by the way, just as a heads up. But you want to restock your farm system. Excuse me. It's important to have draft picks, but really, I think you're only missing out on the 1 draft pick, so that's fine. 2nd rounder, I think that's for Bo Bichette, if I'm not mistaken. Taking the first overall pick with Carson Wiggins. Now, 88th ranked by Pipeline. 123rd ranked by the Group Project. I like him more than those numbers. I will say that. I would put him more in the 60s, though. I'm not really a 27th pick kind of guy. That being said, if you don't think he's going to be there in your next pick, which is 92, which I think that's a fairly, believable idea here. You take him in the 1st round. 6'5", 215, big body pitcher out of Arkansas. Good pitching program. Newly minted 21-year-old. Only pitched 1 year at Arkansas, pitched 1 very good year as a reliever. 3.21 ERA, 14 innings pitched, only 7 hits given up, 20 strikeouts, lots of walks, 5.8 walks per 9. It's a little questionable, but I look at the tools. 80 grade fastball, 70 grade slider. Don't talk about the control, 45 control, but that's just big boy stuff. Big boy stuff. I mean, good gravy. Wow. Like, 270 plus pitches. Forget 60 plus. 270 plus pitches. One of which was up to 102. Now, internal brace surgery, I'm a little worried about that. Hopefully that doesn't become a recurring issue. Average 98.7. Average 98.7. Upper 80s slider with great depth. Plenty of chase. 1 for 16 with 14 strikeouts on the slider in 2025. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, there's a lot of work to be done here. Clearly, there's a lot of work to be done. 2 pitches, 45 control, only threw 14 total innings as a reliever at Arkansas. But, this is a hell of a floor to work with. So, I give him a C. Because I think the downside is such that he just ends up being like a Nate Pearson, Forrest Whitley type. Never really realizes his potential because he just can't control his stuff and he just doesn't have a deep enough mix. But the upside is tantalizing here. It really is. And I understand why the Mets take him at 27 here. I do. I don't think the valuation is correct purely from a numbers standpoint, but I understand being that your next pick is at 92, why you take him here. You think you see something in his game that you can work with, add a third pitch, get some better control. That guy's like a Chase Burns, right? Like, we're talking that kind of upside here with a plus slider and a plus fastball. I mean, let's look at that one more time. 80 grade fastball. Like, wow. 102 is not something that everybody can touch. I will say that. Next pick. I also really like this pick, right? And I think I've been too hard on them. I'm going to say C plus instead of C minus. But next pick I really like, Aiden Robbins. This is more so where I'm looking at some value, right? And they sort of offset each other in a weird way, where it's the Brewers issue. Where I think if they switched these two, I would be happier with it. That being said, Wiggins is by no means going to be there for 92. So again, I understand. Aiden Robbins, 39th overall in the group project, 29th rated by Pipeline, coming out of Texas and SEC. You know, he was a Seton Hall transfer from the Big East after the 2025 season, where he just thoroughly dominated his competition, right? 12 doubles. This is in his sophomore year in 2025. 19 doubles, 5 triples, 6 home runs, 38 RBIs, 20 steals. He's going 44 walks to 32 strikeouts, a 422 batting average, a 537 OBP, 1189 OPS. Transfers to the SEC. A big jump from Seton Hall and the Big East to Texas at the SEC. What does he do? Plays 7 more games. 7 more games, and he goes from 6 home runs to 24. I mean, are you kidding me right now? Like, look, strikeouts go down from 20 to 12, or stolen base, I should say. Walks go down from 44 to 39. Strikeouts go up from 32 to 65. That's a worrying increase. 333 batting average. That's a worrying decrease from 422 to 333. But 333 in a nutshell, in a vacuum, I'll take that. 426 in a vacuum, I'll take that. 1122 OPS. Slight decrease on some of those stats from his Seton Hall days, but it's a massive step up in competition in the SEC with Texas. I'm looking at that 6 to 24 home runs, and I'm saying he made a significant swing change, and he got significantly stronger. 6'2", 205. I wouldn't be surprised if he was like 6'2", 180 at Seton Hall. 55 hit, 55 power, 50 run, 50 arm, 50 field. Oh, I mean, an all-around good player there. And quadrupling his career high in home runs is just absurd. Just absurd. The strikeout jump is concerning. I will say that. If he's a center fielder and he can get 25% strikeout rate, you can tap into that power even more, get to like 25 home runs. I think we're looking at an all-star here. I think we're looking at a real upside guy. Like he just needs to keep hitting the ball in the air and keep that contact ability that gave him a 55 hit tool, that gave him a 422 batting average at Seton Hall, that gives him these superlatives, these words that we're talking about here. And the Mets, I think, got a real steal here at pick 92 with Aiden Robbins, a guy that I saw with some action in the back half of the first round on a lot of mocks coming into this. That's probably one of my favorite picks that we've talked about today. Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how much I like that pick. So, good for the Mets. I suppose the last guy that I will talk about is Ryan Taman, 9th round pick catcher out of Cal Poly. And not exactly known as a baseball powerhouse, but certainly has some upside as far as the division goes. In the Big West, Cal Poly, St. Louis Obispo. I've seen a few guys come out of there in the draft this year. Whew. So, 63 games in his junior year. 19 doubles, 18 home runs, 57 RBIs, 31 walks to 50 strikeouts, 357, 446, with an 1119 OPS. Now, all of that looks good. All of that makes me think this guy is someone that has found a little bit of a stroke here, right? He goes from 5 home runs to 18. Massive jump there. 8 to 19. And again, this is 39 games to 63, so there's some differences. But batting average goes from 274 to 357. Walks go from 9 to 31. Strikeouts go from 35 to 50. If we're talking about rate increases, I like these a lot, right? Slugging goes from 476 to 672. If we're ignoring the total numbers, and we're just looking at this purely from a, outcomes per at bat basis, a lot of increases here, a lot of things to like. 35 to 50 is not an exorbitant increase when you're going from 39 to 63 games. Although 5 home runs to 18 certainly is, right? 16 RBIs to 57 certainly is. 8 doubles to 19 certainly is, right? Because if you doubled 39, last I checked, you're getting 72 games, right? If you're more than doubling your doubles, you're more than doubling your home runs, you're actually tripling up your home runs here and then some, right? You're going from 16 to 57. Like, I think those are some tremendous up arrows here for Cal Poly. Ryan Taman, I don't know what his defensive output looks like, but 6'2", 210. I think if the power's real, I think if the hitting ability has really taken a step forward here, then I think we might be looking at a big league starter here. Taken in the 9th round, I take that all day long. gets a B for me just because, I think there's a step down in terms of conference quality, and I think there's a step down in terms of really what we're looking at from, a complete unknown to someone that had a good season but not an elite one, right? So, yeah, that's sort of why I'm out with that. But C+ overall for the draft. Aiden Robbins is easily my favorite pick here. So, 4 teams left. Next up, we got the Yankees here. Very good draft. As much as it pains me to say it as a Red Sox fan, very good draft here. Nailed their first 2 picks. Hunter Dietz, one of the guys that I actually really wanted the Red Sox to take. I'm very, very big on this guy. So, another guy that I think had a little bit of a derailment here because of his injuries. And one of the best college pitchers in the country when he's right. Taken 35th overall by the Yankees here. Looking at a 3.57 ERA in 16 starts in his junior year. 85 and 2/3 innings pitched, 71 hits, 31 walks, 131 strikeouts. In the SEC. A 13.8 strikeout per 9 as a starter. 3.3 walks per 9. 1.1 home runs per 9. Could use a little bit of work, maybe. I think the Yankees absolutely nailed this one. 21st in the group ranking, 17th on Pipeline. Just a very well-rounded 3+ pitch, 6'6", 235. Room to grow on the fastball. It's already at 55. 60 curveball, 60 slider, 60 cutter. You give this guy sinker, fastball, cutter. 50 control maybe could stand to step up a little bit here, but I mean, top 98 with the fastball. 6'6" is going to give him enough extension. I think they can work on that a little bit. I mean, struck out 14 in regional play. He's going to continue to improve. He's just going to get better and better and better. I love the upside on this pick. I think this could end up being one of the better picks of this draft. Sean Duncan, I feel the same way about, which is unfortunate because, again, it's the Yankees. Another guy out of Canada here. Taken 53rd in the group ranking, 66 according to Pipeline, taken at 63rd overall. Not a bad little pick here. 18 years old, 6'3", 184, committed to Vanderbilt, the best pitching college in the entire world. 50 fastball, 50 slider, 55 changeup, 50 control. Very well-rounded. But where he really takes a step up here is the mix, right? The mix of them all together. That's plus, right? There is excellent arm speed, very good breaking stuff. This guy's just a very well-rounded, top-of-the-line talent. The Yankees just absolutely nailed these first 2 picks point blank. They both get A's, right? One more guy I want to talk about, Michael Harpster. So he was taken 7th round at East Tennessee State. 214 according to Pipeline, and 217 according to the group project, taken at 218, basically chalk. But here's what I have to say about the Harpster. So, 3 years pitching Eastern Tennessee State. This year, 4.0 ERA in 14 starts, 72 innings pitched, striking out 78, 9.8 strikeouts per 9, 4.5 walks per 9. Not great. Not great. But here's what I like about him. He's already got 2 fastball, right? 50 fastball, 55 cutter, 50 slider. So there's a baseline there. 6'185". So small school. There's some stuff to work on here, of course there is, but cells at locating where hitters will chase with the cutter, right? This is a guy that premium deception, low release point. I think this is more of a fine tune thing more than anything else, right? If you look back, he's had better success controlling the ball. Sacrifice a little bit of home run prevention in the name of walking a few more guys. So just not giving him as many pitches to hit, pitches to drive. I think this is going to end up being more so of a relief pitcher type, but a lot of this is going to be predicated on keeping the repeatability of his motion and adding some velocity. If they can do that, this guy could be a very good big leaf relief pitcher, something along those lines, working with that cutter, fastball, slider. I think this is sneaky good value in the 7th round here for the Yankees. So get that an A minus overall. 100 deets, my favorite pick here. Phillies up next. Phillies had a very interesting draft here. I think that there's a lot to like about it. I think there's a lot to sort of call into question a little bit here. Tyler Spangler. This is a little bit of an interesting one. Took a little bit of a hit pre-draft. 40th overall in the group project. 53rd on MLB Pipeline, taken at 36. I understand from the Phillies' perspective, might not be there in the 2nd round, so you want to take him with your first pick. That's fine. I think there's probably better ways you could have gone with it, but either way, this is a guy that I think has seen some fluctuation in his overall evaluation. Committed to Stanford, 6'3", 195, 16th rated, high school player in the nation according to Perfect Game. Big body shortstop, very athletic, plays defense with ease and confidence. Left-hand swing really projects outstanding junior national. So all things that you love to hear from the kid. Looking at MLB Pipeline, 55 hit, 55 power, 50 run, 50 arm, 55 field. Really solid, well-rounded player, right? The thing that really, I think, holds him back here is 6'3", 195 as well. I think the thing that really holds him back here, senior season, didn't play it, right? It's difficult to project that when you don't have a senior high school season, let alone a senior, college season, But great zone awareness, can be susceptible a little bit to breaking stuff. There's some questions there about his projectability, but this guy was probably going to be a top pick if he played his senior season at the rate that the people were expecting. I think it's a good pick for the Phillies. I do. I think there's a lot to like here, and I think the value proposition is great. Next guy I want to talk about, Ruger Riojas. 92nd ranked according to Pipeline, and 80th ranked according to the group project here, out of Texas. A lot of people sort of project him more as a premium reliever. 3rd round pick here. 17 starts in his final year at Texas. 3.97 ERA. 81 2/3. 73 hits allowed. 120 strikeouts. Good God. 0.8 home runs per 9. Now that is more important in my mind. If you can have 13.2 strikeouts per 9, a 2.3 walk per 9, and a 0.8 home run per 9, all of those things are pointing in a great direction here. 17 starts as well. So massive improvement on pretty much everything across the board from his sophomore to junior year. 60 fastball, 50 curveball, 45 slider, 55 cutter, 60 splitter, and 55 control. More of an over-the-top arm action here with the splitter and the cutter and the fastball working together. Curveball could use a little bit of depth. A little bit of a savagey looking arsenal here, especially with the 45 slider. People didn't really know what to make of that either. Peaking at 98 with carry on his fastball. That's great. Unhittable at times, commanded both sides of the plate. Splitter, changeup, untouchable. Cutter plus pitch. I mean, there's a lot of things to like. 23 years old, a little on the older side, but he's advanced. Can get to the big leagues in a hurry. Probably going to debut as a reliever. Maybe could be turned into a starter at some point, but I think there's just a lot of maturity about it and a lot to like about it. I think it's a high upside pick for the Phillies, and I think there's some Savagey qualities about him that I like a lot. So he gets an A from me. And Will Gasparino, I think probably one of the best value propositions in the draft here. I can't believe he fell this far. I really can't, honestly. 81st on the group project, 72nd according to Big League, according to Pipeline. He raked at UCLA this year. 314, 412, over 1,000 OPS, 20 home runs, 12 doubles, throw in 2 triples, 64 RBI. 55 strikeouts to 30 walks. A little bit of a question mark there, but a well-rounded UCLA performance, especially after spending 2 years at Texas, 1 in the SEC, where he did okay, nothing spectacular, but there's some big tools here, 6'6", 220, 45 hit tool, but 60 power, 55 run, 55 arm, 55 field. So, going to be a solid outfielder with plus power. It's problematic. I get it with the approach. But 21 years old, Phillies have a track record with guys like this. I think they can tap into that contact maybe a little bit more, get to those big levers there, and really turn him into a slugger. So overall, B+, Will Gasparino, my favorite pick here. A couple other guys to like here. I think I'm actually going to bump this up to an A- just looking at this again. Just because there's not really any holes in this draft, right? And I think they deserve some credit for that. But Blue Jays. The Blue Jays, I think, had a phenomenal draft. I do. I give them A- overall, but we'll get into that here. Blue Jays first pick Cole Carlin out of Arizona State. Cole Carlin. So 39th overall is their first pick. They had a pick from 39, and they didn't get him another one until 103. So had to really think about what they were going with here, and looks like they just went with the highest upside here. Cole Carlin, last year at Arizona State, all 3 years at Arizona State, pitching fairly heavily. This is his first year actually as a full-time starter, so bear that in mind. 3.87 ERA, 8.3 and 2/3 innings pitched, 69 hits, 31 walks, 133 strikeouts. Mercy me. 14.3 strikeouts per 9, 1.5 home runs per 9, a bit high. 3.3 walks per 9, a bit high. But Group Project says 22 in the rankings. MLB Pipeline says 26. Get him at 39. Great value regardless. 55 fastball, a 70 slider. Now that's what I love to see. 6'5", 230. 45 control, bit questionable. Curveball and changeup are a bit fringy. But he is going to be able to get up to 98 on the fastball. Probably can add a little bit more with some professional honing there. Always had big, massive strikeout stuff. 2 years in college with a 14.3 strikeout per 9. Whew. You know, slider just throws it great off of his fastball. Really mixes them both well. So this is a guy that I look at and say he's going to be a premium reliever at worst, especially if that control stays at a 45. But that 70 slider is always going to give you a chance. I think 6'5", 230 can be able to add on to that fastball. That's going to be a great two-pitch mix, if nothing else. Like I said, premium back-end guy or a premium reliever in the late innings. I like this pick a lot. I think at 39, it's an absolute steal. So obviously this gets an A. Will Brick. I think this is another one of the best value picks in the draft. Something about Wills, Gasparino, and Brick that are really getting undervalued here, but 55 according to the Group Project, 46 according to Pipeline, coming out of high school here. And a catcher. Seventh ranked high school player at 131. Taking Carlin, taking Cooney. You are really saving a ton of money here. 18 years old, 6'2", 195. Mississippi State, SEC, love to see it. Top catching prospect, reclassified. So young for his age. Only turned 18 in June. And, you know, it's... top catching prospect for both 2027 and 2026. All the tools, bat really plays, starting catcher for Team USA 18U World Championships. How's that for some pedigree, huh? Like, this is up arrows pointing around all over the place. 45 hit, questionable, right? 50 power, though. I'll take that, especially with a 65 arm, 60 field. Like, this guy is going to be fast-tracked to the big leagues with that catcher defensibility. And if he hits, it's a big bonus, which, you know, if we're talking about bonuses here, Tennessee High School Player of the Year, you know, plus on everything on the makeup and on the defense. He's getting there, right? He's getting there. Bit too passive, but swing and miss, plus raw power, though. And I think if you can get a power hitting plus defensive guy like Will Brick in the 4th round, a guy that was the top catcher in 2 different high school classes, I think this may be the best value pick in the draft. It's up there certainly. Last guy I want to talk about, interesting guy. I'm talking about Gable Mitchell. Gable Mitchell here. Unranked, taken the 6th round. Certainly being taken with the intention of signing Will Brick to a massive overslot, I would think. And, yeah. Massive overslot. He is someone I'm interested in, right? If we're talking about relative to expectations. Not ranked on either Pipeline nor the Group Project. However, Iowa for 4 years, not 3, 4. So he's graduating at 22, older side. He is hitting 360, drops the strikeouts down to 18, 31 walks. Almost twice as many walks as strikeouts. 5 home runs, not really going to play. 15 doubles, though. 14 steals. Good on-base instincts. 987 OPS. You know, RBI's going up. pretty much every year. Stolen bases, staying in and around the same area. Adding a little bit of power here, going to 5 home runs. I think he's produced for a couple of years now at Iowa too. 329 batting average, 360 batting average, 19 and 18 home runs, strikeouts respectively. 31 walks in both years. Slugging percentage goes up. OPS goes up. All these are really good things to see. I think it's a little bit of a gamble in the 6th round pick, but he's someone that could move quickly if he just sort of keeps that stroke and keeps hitting for average like that. A- overall, Will Brick, my favorite pick there. Finally, last but not least, the Dodgers. Whew. Yeah, we're almost there, fellas. We're almost there. Best pick of the draft. I'm not going to beat around the bush here. Bo Lawrence, best pick of the draft. And it sucks that it had to be the Dodgers here, but 29th ranked according to the group project, 21st according to Pipeline, taken at pick 40. I love Bo Lawrence a lot. 25th ranked high school pitcher, fast rising, young corner slugger, sweet left-handed swing with big power potential. Committed to Virginia. A lot of things to like there. 55 on the hit power. Run, field. Field's a little questionable. Probably end up at first base. But scouts love him. 6'5", 200. Only 18 years old. Probably going to add on to that. A lot of people love his swing. Track record against quality competition showcases, and people keep comparing him to Freddie Freeman. That's what I've seen. Doesn't lift or pull, but I if nothing else, the same organization as Freddie Freeman. If you're being comped, you might as well end up there. I've heard a lot of great things about this guy. Could have easily been a mid-first round pick. I think that talent is that good, and to get him at 40, if you're the Dodgers, you are over the moon. I've seen this guy mocked with the Red Sox at 20. I've seen him mocked a couple of picks higher than that, 18 or so. And the Dodgers get him at 40. So, I mean, talk about a great value there. Russell Sandifer, 177th ranked according to Pipeline. And 232 according to the group project, taken at 132. A little bit of a reach, but if you're the Dodgers, you really don't have many picks, so there's not a whole lot to choose from in a lot of ways. So you have to be very careful. But look at his stats here. Started 12 games for Florida in the SEC this year after transferring from Central Florida there. 4.42 ERA, 57 innings pitched, 60 strikeouts, a little bit of walks, but home run limitation. It's going to mostly be a guy that keeps the ball, away from the dangerous areas. 6'1", 200, 50 fastball, 55 slider, 55 changeup, 50 control. Solid all-around type player. Nothing to write home about really, but I think the Dodgers like this kind of guy. I think they can plug him into a longer relief role. I think he'll probably move pretty quickly for them, and I think I won't be surprised when he's really moving quickly. Last guy I want to talk about, Charlie West, taken in the 7th round here, which is the Dodgers' 3rd pick, if you can believe it, out of Connecticut. So we're going to look at his stats here at UConn. And he's unranked on both MLB Pipeline and the big board. But 4.23 ERA, 87 and a third, 87 hits, but 111 strikeouts, right? 0.9 hits, home runs per 9, 38 walks per 9, 11.4 strikeouts per 9. A lot of those hits are probably a little bit due to his poor defense behind him, but playing in Cape Cod for Brewster, 2.16 ERA and 60 and 2/3, 26 strikeouts. That's some big numbers right there. Only one season below 10 strikeouts per nine. He's had some incredible times at UConn sophomore year. 30 hits allowed and 52.1. Oscillates quite a bit there, but big strikeout stuff coming out of the Big East. Showing out on the Summer League a couple of times there. So, good value in the 7th round, I think. I think there's some upside. This is the exact kind of guy that I think the Dodgers like to grab a hold of and really work with. But overall, that is the draft. Those are the highlights right there. So A- draft for the Dodgers. Bo Lawrence is the best pick. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to give you the top 5 drafts according to me, and then I'm going to give you the best 3, bronze, silver, gold, in terms of the best picks, in my opinion. So, coming up on number 5 for the draft, I'm going with the Rays. I think Grady Emerson at 2 is great. Ben Blair I love a lot. I'm interested in Taj Marchand and Kyle Johnson, just to see where they're coming from, and I think most of this is due to the upside of Grady Emerson. I think there's a lot to like here, and I think that there's going to be some big time upside here. Next up, number 4 is going to be the Nationals for me. Chris Akopian, Chase Brunson, Luke Williams, Daniel Cuvée, all guys that I like a lot. I think these are all really quality picks. I don't think there was really any big misses in this draft. Didn't really grab any pitchers, which I thought was strange, but again, you don't really draft for big league need. But Daniel Cuvée is one of my favorite picks of the entire draft, so 4 is where I'm going for the Nationals. Next up, White Sox. 3. Good job on not overthinking Rock Chalosky. Landon Tomei is interesting. Cole Prosek is interesting. I like Joey Volchko as like sort of a late round arm. Alex Wentgardner I like a lot too. I don't think there's any really misses in this pick, but you get first of each round, so I think they did the most of a very fortuitous position. Number 2. You know, it's strange that I'm tempted to give it to the Dodgers, but I don't think I just don't think they have enough picks. Which is to say, they don't have enough picks that they could potentially mess up for me to really want to grade them. So, Guardians are at number 2. Liam Peterson, Logan Schmidt, both guys that I think that the Guardians are going to get some very useful pitchers out of. Trey Bouchard, Cade Lewis, both very good, very interesting players here. And Deaton LaChance and Savion Sims are sort of mystery box types, but they have good tools. And I think there's a lot to like there. And number 1. I think just because they knocked their first round pick out of the park, I give it to the A's. Drew Burress, I think that's just a great pick. I think he's produced at every single level for Georgia Tech. Mason Edwards, Gabe Gakel, both going to be premium arms. Rowan Martin, Alex Hernandez, both good guys that I like. Jacob Dudden and Alex Sosa, I also think there's some sneaky upside there as well. Big leaguer type quality players. And if we're going in terms of ranking my favorite 3 picks, I'm going to say Daniel Cuvée gets the bronze here. And I'm going to say Brody Bamilla in the 3rd for the Rangers gets the silver here. And I'm going to say that Bo Lawrence to the Dodgers at 40 gets the gold. That one there. So, that's it. That's the one. Um, you know, I've had a lot of fun making these videos. I hope that each fan base can find a reason to like their uh, to like what I've said about their picks. I think each team has some upside in there. I don't think any of these. I think we've gotten to the point in baseball development where none of these are going to completely flop. Like the Brewers very easily could end up with a middle of the pack draft here. I don't think they're going to end up with the top half by any stretch, but you know, um, for all we know, this guy could be a Cy Young winner, and this guy could be an All Star, and this guy could be a never debuts, or this guy could be a Hall of Famer. Who knows? But this is just sort of my uneducated but sort of educated viewpoint on here, and I hope you liked it. And I will see you again for another episode.